Welcome to Perspectives, a podcast by Essence Learning LLC, and a place where leaders learn from leaders. Let's join today's episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Perspectives, a podcast by Essence Learning. I am Dr. Jeanie Murphy, and I will be your host today. And I am so excited to have the opportunity to talk to an amazing panel about opportunities for networking, one of my favorite things to do. Yes, I know, you can laugh, Trish. So we're going to get right into it. And I definitely want to have an opportunity to allow our just awesome and amazing panel to introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with the gentleman of today's panel. It is going to be Mr. Walter Campbell. He's a recruitment strategist. So let's just get into it, Walter. Please say hello and introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about you and your organization. And then we'll have the ladies do the same. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for having me on the panel. My name is Walter Campbell. I am a recruitment and retention strategist for First Arriving, which is a company that works in the public safety sector, dealing more so with firefighters, EMS, and police departments in recruitment, retention, and marketing strategies as well. I'm also a 20-year Air Force veteran. Served in the Air Force and spent a lot of my time in the military down in San Antonio, and ended up in recruitment or as a recruiter in the Air Force down in South New Jersey. So I've been in the recruitment industry since about 2010, and currently living now in Maryland.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, sharing a little bit about yourself. Thank you for your service. And we are so excited and very thankful to have you here.
Glad
to my
to be here.
left, yes, thank you. I want to turn it over for introductions and hello. We have with us today, Miss Ericka Johnson. Ericka, if you can go ahead to say hello to our listeners, please tell our listeners and all of our studio audience hello and a little bit about yourself and your organization.
Well, hello. I am Ericka Johnson. I am a professor at the University of Central Oklahoma. And so I teach in the public health field. I teach professionalism and ethics in terms of how to secure job placement, maintain job placement opportunities in the public health field. I also own a consulting firm, Start Here. And that firm, we work with business owners to launch their businesses or launch additions to their businesses, such as new product lines and things of that nature. Also providing technology solutions for small business owners. So I am happy to be here and excited to speak with you guys today.
Well, thank you for being here and welcome. An amazing story. Can't wait to hear more. And we have an amazing panelist with us, Trisha Cantu. I call her Trish. She is an amazing training coordinator. Please, Trish, tell us all about yourself, a little bit about what you do, and please say hello to our listeners and studio audience.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for having me today. I have been working my previous career for my recruiting and training coordinator that I'm currently in now. Prior to that, I have been working with people with disabilities, especially working with the deaf and hard of hearing community, helping with job placement, and did that for over 20 years. And now, as I said, I'm in recruiting and training coordinator.
Well, welcome. Again, welcome to all of our panelists. We have an amazing topic. Again, opportunities for networking. So as you have heard, there are many walks of life that our panel is coming from. We have a suite of questions, but only a limited amount of time. So I'm going to get right into it. And the first question that I would like to ask is about business networking. Why is it important to growth? Why is it important for career development and the overall success for someone who's interested in moving forward? I'll go ahead and start off with Mr. Walter. If you can go ahead and share with us from your experience what that answer would be.
Wow. I love the topic or the question. And so I've always been under the impression that networking leads to an exchange of ideas, right? And so hearing what other people have are doing at their companies always has inspired me, and I always take a look at what I can do and how I can use what they're doing, benchmarking, copying, sampling, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of those ideas, a lot of those thoughts and key nuggets I grab from networking. And so I look at that is putting those tools in my tool bags, which is going to create career growth for me. I never even thought that retention, I knew about recruitment, but I never truly knew about retention until I started networking and in the recruitment world. So it always opens you up to a lot of fresh ideas and helps you, more tools that you have in your toolbox. I think the easier it is for you to grow and the more well-rounded and developed that you are, which ultimately is going to lead to success.
Thank you for sharing. I like the term tools for your toolbox. So if you don't mind, I may refer back to that example from time to time during today's podcast. Well, I would like the ladies to go ahead and answer that question. Again, just to repeat, why is business networking important? Important for career growth and development. Ericka?
Well, for me, I look at networking as connecting. And so similar to what Walter said, you can connect with others to exchange information, exchange ideas, but also to leverage resources. So I look at maybe something that you didn't have access to before. Networking provides that connection for you. So it allows you the opportunity or opens up opportunities that you may have missed or you wouldn't necessarily have on your own. I also think that networking can provide encouragement and motivation. So if you are faced with challenges or barriers, maybe you can meet someone that has gone through that before or meet someone that has a solution for the challenge that you're facing. So making those connections, I think, are beneficial to advancing your project or your career.
So true. I think the connections are important. I'm sure we can all agree there's a connection out there that has helped us along the way. Sometimes it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. Exactly.
Yeah. I call that the I know somebody, right? I know somebody for that. I know somebody.
Let me get that tool out the toolbox. Trisha, go ahead, share with us.
Also, with that networking opportunity, you're also getting to learn what's going on in your industry, any new trends that are occurring, maybe that you haven't heard of, that maybe a colleague has heard of, and you have that opportunity to share those insights with the individuals. Opportunity for mentorship. Maybe you found someone who's been in the industry for a long time. They would be a great mentor to you. Maybe you're just now coming into the field. So I think making those connections and making those partnerships and establishing those early set relationships are really important, because once you establish those early set relationships, that can be a really long-term relationship down the road.
Absolutely. I agree. Long-term is the goal. Run the ball. Okay. Thank you so much. So I want to go ahead and lean into the next question. And it is truly about finding opportunities for networking. So we all hear there's 1,000,001 ways to network. There are 1,000,001 ways to find an opportunity. In your experiences, what would you recommend that our listeners and our studio audience consider in regards to finding opportunities for networking? I'm going to go ahead and start off with Trish. You just answered the last question, but we want to go ahead and hear from you right now.
I think joining groups that are within your industry. There's so many social media platforms, make it easy, comfort of your home, being on a Zoom call, but joining those social media networking platforms within your industry would be a great way to network, and just joining other groups and going to any kind of networking event, because you're going to find someone who could be in your industry and they might tell you about another organization that you hadn't heard of.
That's so true. That's so true. How many of us can think about someone would call or text, I'm headed to this opportunity or this meeting. Do you want to join me? Of course, I asked, is food there? No, but I'll still go if the mileage is decent and I won't hit traffic. Yes. Ericka, go ahead and share with us what you think.
So similar to what you said, finding those groups with similar interests. But I think maybe outside of your industry as well, you may have a mom group or maybe a hobby, a running group or something like that. And you can always network within those groups because sometimes they have similar, they're either in a similar industry, or they may be able to connect, again, that word connect you to someone who is. And so really just being social and finding those opportunities to exchange information and ideas with other groups. And then you mentioned social media as well, especially for the millennial generation, finding those event invitations that are on social media. So seeking out networking opportunities in your geographic region where you can go and make new friends, so to speak.
I like that. I like that idea. Awesome. Yeah. Mr. Walter, please share with us your response.
So I treat every single opportunity, every place I go, as a recruitment and networking opportunity, every single place. Right. And there are times where my family hates it, right? Because I can be at McDonald's, but I'm networking or recruiting, one or the other. So I say every opportunity, any place that you're at is an opportunity to network, whether it's your religious sector, if you go to church, if you go to the gym, wherever you are, there's the opportunity to connect and network with somebody. Specifically, Facebook groups for me right now have been really, really big. You can type in whatever type of environment that you want, and anything will come up. If you're in HR, if you're in tech, if you're in information assurance, it doesn't matter. There are groups dedicated to whatever you're doing in the world. LinkedIn has been great for me in the networking community. And just recently in Frederick, Maryland, there was a group that started a meetup, and I didn't know that this was an actual app. So it's an app itself where there are different groups already connecting and meeting. Some are online, some are in person, but there's a specific app called Meetup, and it's meeting up for everything. If you want to run, if you have dogs, if you are in HR, so that's a specific app that allows people to come together with like-minded interests.
Well, thank you for sharing. I've heard of Meetup. I have definitely used LinkedIn, Facebook. I mean, do you really not have Facebook? Instagram's connecting out of Facebook. So there are amazing opportunities. Also, something that our listeners may want to consider in our studio audience, the neighborhood app. Okay, don't laugh. But really and truly, the neighborhood app, you have neighbors in your community and surrounding communities who are very well connected in a lot of industries. And believe it or not, for me, it has worked for generating leads and just really finding people that have very similar interests. So check out that neighborhood app. It may lend some good experiences for you. But I want to ask the next question. So we talked about all of these opportunities to network. Why is it important? It's the tools in your toolbox, finding those support groups or like interest groups. What about the shy people out there? It seems that we're all extroverts on this podcast today. However, we do have some introverts that may not be interested at all in doing the things that we have talked about. So I want to ask, for those who are shy or for those who consider themselves introverts, what would be some recommendations to get out there and to network? Walter, I'm looking at you. So we would love to hear your response to that.
Oh, wow. So I'm totally the opposite of shy and introverted. I'm not that at all. But being in recruitment, as a recruiter, I'm able to read people. And so in environments like that, where you see shy people, I would say some tips: active listening. If you're not one to talk, active listening. And what that means is show that you're involved and that you're paying attention. And most people that you're talking to can sense when you're connecting, right? It's all about establishing that connecting. So I would say active listening. For shy people, leverage your strengths. People like to talk about themselves. So if you're shy, ask them about themselves and what they do. And then a lot of times people are going to talk for days, like how I'm doing right now. So I would say make sure that you ask those type of questions, or you can ask them about themselves. That kind of helps open those doors. And then you can respond versus having just to say, well, what do you do? Or tell me about yourself. That's a little tough. You can kind of bounce off of what they've already said and interject or ask questions about what they've said.
Good points. Good points. We definitely don't want anyone to feel like they're being interrogated, right? So we never want to go and actually ask a series of questions like it's this important interview. And if you get a question wrong, that's it. You're now headed to the corner. So thank you for sharing. I would piggyback on your response to also share nonverbals. So I'm nodding as I'm responding, I'm smiling, and we have to remember those best practices in public speaking, like folding our arms or doing these scrunchy faces and things of that nature. I do them all. So I hope that anyone that meets me doesn't take it personal. It could just be the weather. So thank you so much for sharing. But Ericka, what would you say for those persons that are shy? I know you mentioned when we first met, I'm an introvert, I'm shy. No, I don't think so. But if you want to say that you're shy, that's okay. And what have you done to overcome that shyness when it comes to networking?
So I am, but I had to practice the skill. So just like anything in life, if you want to be good at it, you have to practice it. You first have to set the mindset to achieve that and then practice that as you move forward. And so I have to tell myself, nod your head. In my mind, I'm saying smile, nod your head, all of that, those things, all of those nonverbal clues, because it is uncomfortable for me, especially in large group settings where you don't know anyone. I've actually challenged myself once a month to go to an event like that and to leave with contact information for someone. It also helps me to have an elevator speech prepared. So not that I'm going on script or anything like that, but if I get nervous, then I'm comfortable. I can, relay back to that or fall back on that because I've already developed that. I've practiced that. I'm comfortable with that. And it helps me to not be as nervous. So I don't necessarily spit out this elevator speech, but it's in my head and it eases my nerves that I have something prepared. But I am working on not being as shy or putting myself out there more. So I appreciate you saying that I'm not an introvert.
High five.
Because I appreciate that.
And Trish, we would love to hear your response. You have been in HR and recruitment, small business owner. So you have that experience also working with different populations as well to pull out the energy from people and get to know them. What would you recommend and talk about as a best practice for people who are just shy and they just really don't want to network?
Well, when I'm conducting an interview and we hire the young demographics, and some people, this is their first time job. So coming to an interview is really, really nervous, but you can tell by their demeanor that they are a shy person. They're not, assertive in their approach and how they're addressing themselves. So when I realize that individual is a little shy, before I even start an interview, I sit down and just chat with them hey, how's it going today? And just kind of putting them at an ease and kind of letting them realize this is an informal conversation. Did you have any problems getting here today? Did you find the location okay? And then that way, once I get that going and they're engaged with me, they've relaxed. And now all of a sudden we're having a conversation, and really easily I slide into the interview questions. And before you know it, we've gone through it. And I've had individuals say at the end, wow, I'm so glad you did that. That put my my nervousness, I was able to, calm down. I was nervous. And so I really want to, hone into those behaviors to really pick up on that. So that way I know that I can make that individual feel comfortable and feel more relaxed so they can be successful in the interview, because that's the whole point that they're there.
Absolutely. Good points. Good points.
The nerves are what comes into play, a lot of times for those introverts or shy people. And another good thing is just remember that you're not the only person the shy person there. You're not the only shy person there. And in those groups, social settings, you're not the only one that's shy. So try and take some solace into that and walk in confidently.
Absolutely. That's a great point. And so it leads me into my next question. Crowd control. So we often seek out the person in the crowd that's a little shy, a little reserved, a little quiet. But for us as networkers, professional networkers, I think we would like to refer to ourselves as today. How do you stand out in a crowd? So Ericka, tell us. I know I'm can only imagine what you're going to share with us, but I'm excited to hear, how do you stand out when it comes to being in a crowd?
So I don't really aim to stand out. I try to let my work speak for itself, right? So I again, I'm actively telling myself to have those nonverbal cues to make sure I'm listening. And then I feel comfortable because I'm speaking about my work or my project. And so I'm confident in that. I'm proud of it. And I just let that really light the path for me.
I like that. So you don't have to just be out there and just
You're
just let your
authentic
words
self.
out
Yeah,
for
no,
yourself.
I'm not telling jokes. I'm not, stand-up comedian. No.
Walter, I'm just
hey.
you and I naturally are comedians, right? So yes, absolutely. But that makes sense. Walter, share with us, how do you stand out in the crowd?
I learned this very on. Don't be in the crowd, right? Separate yourself. How do you stand out from a crowd is not to be in the crowd. And that can be difficult for some people. But again, it's being involved in the moment. It's being there, and how you stand out in the crowd is your mindset. It's your confidence. It's how you approach the other people that are around you. Even if you don't say a word, if there's somebody giving a small group talk, or let's say, and we're networking, just, what, thank you for your insight. I really appreciated what you had to say. And then just simply moving on. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room, but you want to make sure that you're noticed. And so the small things that you can do is compliments. Everyone loves a compliment. Again, within a professional setting context, again, really, really appreciated your insight and what you brought to the conversation. Thank you so very much. And that's it. You can just go on to the next one. You can use that line, you get 2 or 3 lines, you can use those over and over and over again as you're networking or in those types of environments. But yeah, the one thing I learned is don't be in the crowd.
Don't be in the crowd.
Don't be in the crowd.
Well, I definitely want to hear Trisha's response, but I have to give you a compliment. The vocal pew, I like that. I'm tracking. And so, Trish, we want to hear, we've heard work speaking for itself. We heard just a few moments ago, not necessarily being in a crowd, but, being complimentary in a professional environment, and just 2 to 3 sentences and then moving on to the next person. So, if you had to stand out in a crowd, what would you do?
I think just being my authentic self, just being you, just being who you are.
I agree. I think it's really easy for us to be ourselves. It's really easy to be around people that we know. I think I see a lot of nonverbals here in our studio audience today. And I'll tell you, just from a personal experience, I like to give the compliment in a professional environment. I like to make small talk. And I try to ask for people's names and where they're from. So for me, if I can remember something personal about you, that you like a certain type of food, or your favorite color may be the same as mine, then before I leave, I'll always want to say, well, nice meeting you, Walter. Nice meeting you, Trish. Nice meeting you, Ericka. Take care. And then something personal that we talked about briefly as a connection. And hopefully that makes an impression on someone. And that will help in the future when it comes to networking.
Well, you have to make a connection to the person. And so it's saying, Cantu, okay, she can do. And, I make mental connections in my head. Where you're from, she can too, she can do. And okay, where are you from? And then, so as I'm leaving, like, Trisha, where are you from? Where's home? I'm sorry, San Antonio. Okay. All right. So as I'm leaving, I'll say, all right, Trisha from San Antonio. Like I'm regurgitating back what I've learned. All right, Trisha from San Antonio. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And then I'm off to the next.
I love it. I'm just so excited. I'll tell you, we have so many more questions that we can ask, but we are almost out of time for today. So I'm going to go around the room and ask just one more question. So if you can give one best practice, one transparent, authentic recommendation for our listeners, for our studio audience, and for anyone that's going to take a part of embracing what we're talking about today when it comes to networking and opportunities for networking, what would that one piece of advice be? I'll go ahead and start with Trish.
Like I said before, be your authentic self, because your confidence comes out when you are your authentic self. And that's what you want people to remember, is the confidence that you had when they had that short or long-term conversation with you.
I like that. Be your authentic self. Thank you so much. Ericka?
I would say, we talked about connections and seeking out those connections. I would say be a connector. And so don't necessarily look for opportunities for yourself. I'm very passionate about helping others, which is kind of the root of how I started my consulting firm. And so being a connection for someone else can maybe lead to future connections for yourself. So look for ways to help others. I know before we started, Walter mentioned a friend in education. And so now they're setting up something to have that person on the show. And so I think just being a connector is a good networking practice as well.
That's so true. I love that connection opportunity. You know, if there's nothing that I can do for you, maybe I can connect you with someone to help you in your path. What would that one piece of advice be from you, Walter?
Every engagement is an opportunity, right? For networking. Every single engagement is an opportunity, regardless of where you're at. You're talking to human beings. Again, it's not what you know, it's who you know, that whole thing. And it's called networking for a reason, right? And so networking is a connection, a line. It doesn't have to be straight, doesn't have to, there's no true set pattern to it. It's just connections with like 6 degrees of separation. So you're networking every single opportunity. Network at every single opportunity. If you understand and embrace that every opportunity that you're involved in is a networking opportunity, you're already on the right path.
Awesome. I agree. Well, I want to take this opportunity to charge our listeners, our studio guests today, anyone that is plugged in and tuned in, connect with us, network with us on social media and or LinkedIn. Again, please visit essencelearning.net. Please subscribe to the Perspectives podcast. We have had an amazing day talking about networking and just what to do, the power of networking, and some best practices. We thank you for joining us today. And until next time, take care.
Thank you for joining Perspectives, a podcast by Essence Learning LLC. Essence Learning is your solution to personal and professional development. We partner with our clients to develop a learning strategy that will increase productivity, enhance performance, and align with their purpose and goals. For more information, visit us online at essencelearning.net or call us at 1-877-657-5755.